Alright, back with another video. Bad News Brown breaking it down. Now, in this episode of Crime and Punishment, I want to elaborate a little more on these ICE protests because it's picking up steam. Now, being they had and still having that huge demonstration in LA where the National Guard was called, and I made a video about that. Check that out. But now it's happening all over the country, so it's picking up a lot of steam. And then more recently, I guess a sheriff, and I forget what county, but a sheriff in Florida just recently had a press conference speaking on the demonstrations, and he's talking about if they throw any bricks or any Molotovs or pointed gun, the police is shooting to kill, and basically they having a zero tolerance. And then he mentioned that they have no problem with peaceful protests, but, and this is what he quoted saying, like, this ain't LA, so basically don't come here with all that. Now, at first glance, I mean, what else he's supposed to say? When I think about it, see, this is the thing. My only issue, well, my main issue with that would be, and as I made in a prior video, order out of chaos. Now, usually when that happens, when order, quote unquote, is so-called reestablished, new laws are set in place that apply to us all across the board, not just the alleged troublemakers. So that's one of the things. That's one of my major concerns, because that's usually what happens. That's usually when the Matrix respond to uprisings, whether the uprisings is legitimate or not. Usually when the smoke clear, there's more laws in place, and them laws only further oppress the innocent people, the innocent citizens. So that will be my main concern moving forward, because it's definitely going to be a lot of crackdown, especially if a lot of these demonstrations, which most of them is going to take place in major metropolitan areas. So LA may not, when this is all said and done, may not be the only place where the National Guard is called, or the Marines, G.I. Joe, whoever. So it's basically on and cracking. Now, I'm not going to argue too much on the legitimacy of the protests, because everybody got their own view. But I will say this, and I believe a Chicano Mexican-American person posted a video, and he was pretty much saying it don't help the cause with y'all waving Mexican flags and y'all trying to stay in America. Which, yeah, in a nutshell, ultimately it definitely don't. Although the argument is that, hey man, this was Mexico first. Y'all took a lot of California from us, because all of California wasn't Mexico. You know, a lot of it was Native American tribes. And then the Spanish, just a history lesson, y'all. The Spanish conquerors, conquistadors, they was up and down here, all through Mexico. It was everywhere, and this is where they started a lot of what they call missions up and down California. It's a lot of missions, maybe like 20 some of them. I remember elementary school, we took a field trip to a few of them, so I remember that. But that's a history lesson for y'all, just one-on-one. And also, California also is another history lesson. It's named after an African princess, for the most part, if I'm not mistaken, because a while back, a long time ago, California, they used to think California was an island. Now, why would they think California was an island? And I'm not talking about the Bay Area, San Francisco, no peninsula. They thought California was an island because back in the day there was a huge lake, and Middle California, basically Lake Corcoran, hence the prison name. And this was a big lake right in the middle of California, real huge. I think it spanned from down like Bakersfield all the way up probably by like Stockton, maybe bigger than that. But it was a huge lake. And I'm under the impression, and this is my opinion, when travelers came here and they seen the dark-skinned natives, but being in California, I'm sure that lake, they probably thought that was an island, so they called it an island. And that's my opinion, but that was a huge, huge lake right there in Cali. Y'all researching, man. Let me know what y'all think. But for the most part, after that, the conquistadors, a lot of the southern part, Cal was Mexico, as well as Texas, which is why you got the Spanish and Mexican-American War, Pancho Villa, and all that. So Mexicans, I'm sure, not all, but a lot of them, they waving Mexican flags. They like, man, this is ours. But that war's been fought, the lines been drawn, so this is the United States, for better or for worse. And they got rules, man. Uncle Sam got rules, man. So don't play into a lot of that script, man. It's really, you gotta really, it's layers, man. It's levels. So you're gonna have a general overview, overall goal, but certain bridges you're gonna have to one at a time. Sometimes you're gonna have to take wide stride steps. Sometimes you're gonna have to step. You might have to tiptoe. You understand? So I'm just gonna put it like that. But yeah, that's my only real main concern about this whole protest and the National Guard and all them calling in is the laws that probably be reestablished after this. You understand? That's going to affect us all. That's my major concern. Now, of course, voting, and people knew this. Trump said this already when he was coming, man. It's about to be the rule of law. And it's definitely pros and cons. And research the pros and cons, and don't take what your local politician just saying. Really know what that means and how it applies to you, more important. And if you stick with me, I'll be dropping some gems throughout my certain videos. But talk to me, I'll talk back though, you understand? Go ahead and leave a comment. Go ahead, hit the like, subscribe to me. And stay tuned, most definitely, man. This Bad News Brown, breaking it down for y'all real quick. Another episode of Law and Order, man. I'm going to be right back.